How do people stay at jobs for decades? People get into a position they like or can at least tolerate and they are comfortable. Pay is good enough to live off of, work is tolerable, and management treats them decent. I've been at my current job for 8 years. Others have been there over 30 and will retire from there. For most, that's how it happens. Some people like familiarity, and the seniority too, I guess. I'm in my 5th year at my job and I like it. Some of my coworkers have been here for 25. For me, I'm also afraid of going someplace else and discovering I don't like it. I have no idea how people constantly job hop. Me personally, I hate not knowing what I'm doing. It stresses me out too much when I'm going in blind and trying to learn new processes. I love being familiar with the job and company and like being a reliable source to answer questions. Job hopping doesn't appeal to me. Sure, I may make one more an hour down the street, but my bills are paid and I'm comfortable. I've been at my job for 17 years. There's bullshit in every job. I look forward to getting a paycheck, so I go to work and find what joy I can in it. Back in the day, people had pensions. Much more incentive to stay. Been at my job for 6.5 years. Pay is solid, check, no overtime, check, benefits great. Low health insurance premiums, good PTO, check. I can do this for a while despite it not being my dream job. My job is fun and I love it when there are issues to solve, but 95% of the time, it's pretty boring. Having kids also factors in. I'd job hop for more engaging roles if I didn't have kids. But I don't want to subject them to me having a bad job or quitting because I don't like a job. If I was on my own, I can be much more adaptable and live on pretty much nothing for a while. I love my boss. There's a difference between a job and career. A good career doesn't pigeonhole you into a corner doing the same repetitive tasks. I'm constantly checking in with my guys, same with upper MGMT with my reviews to see where they'd like to see themselves in 2-5 years, even if it's not with the team or company. No one likes going to work every day. In life, you will always have to do things you don't want to do. I work in a school district. I get tons of time off and can switch grades whenever I want to. Keeps it from getting boring. Because you have responsibilities and obligations that are more important to you than your happiness at work. Because work is a means to an end, not your whole world. Because your world is at home and your job makes that possible. Because you need the insurance for yourself and/or your family. There are as many reasons to stay at a job as there are people who stay, even if they hate it. There was an episode of The Simpsons where Homer got his dream job at a bowling alley, but Marge got pregnant with Maggie and he had to go back to work for Burns. Burns puts up a sign that says, "Don't forget you're here forever," and Homer pins photos of Maggie all over the sign, so it says, "Do it for her, people do it because they are in debt up to their eyeballs and bills don't stop just because paychecks do. People do it because most of us are only 2 paychecks away from homelessness at any given point in time. It boils down to a matter of priorities. We do it for her." 4 years seems to be my expiration date. Once I'll learn the job, I'll like improving the process until I'll get bored and start annoying people. I've never had a job I liked enough for longer than that. Because no one else is paying me almost $40 an hour to teach drums. I simply don't want to have to work for the next 40 years whether at my current job or another. That's something I have to do. Working is not my main goal in life nor the most important part. Work is interesting enough, boss is good enough, coworkers good enough, and I can live with the salary I have well enough. I go to work, do my job for 8 hours, socialize with the people there, sometimes we meet up outside work hours and go home and forget all about it until the next day. I was like that for my first few years. Now I'm at 10 years at a place and don't see myself leaving. It's not that this place is amazing. It's just I've come to understand the business. 1. It's a big company, so internal job changes are there. I've made a few switches, so I can stay at the same company, but still keep it interesting too. I make enough money to be comfortable. I value my work, network, and colleagues. I value my good commute by train. 3. I've just learned to accept certain ways of doing business. I don't quite know how to explain it, but there's a certain zen when you understand you are just a cog in a giant machine. I'll do my job and try my best, but at the end of the day, it's a huge mental load off to just let things be. Oh, it takes a whole week to open up a firewall rule so I can actually do my work. Okay, I'm blocked. That's the way it goes. Learn to be zen about the BS. I've been around enough to know that there is going to be BS in every job. So might as well stick around with the BS I know, and I know how to work with it and try to improve it. It's worth noting that the corporate landscape nowadays is very different from what it used to be. Companies used to reward loyalty more. With that in mind, it's easy to see the merit in spending decades at the same job, reaping rewards, benefits, stock options, rising through the ranks, and getting the respect that comes with that much experience. Now, though, many companies have insane churn rates and pay their employees as little as possible. At the same time, they are forced to make good initial offers to draw new people in. As a result, the only way to get a decent pay bump at such a place is to be a new hire, hence job hopping. Staying at the same job is absolutely worth it if you find a company that appreciates it, but they are rare. They stay because they have bills for decades, and having a stable job is a good thing. I will be at my job for 20 years next year. I am 41. When I started my current position after college, I thought it would be like you were saying. Just work there a bit then move on to the next thing. But I like my job and my coworkers, and it is flexible. I'm a mom and have to have flexibility. My husband travels a lot, so that is very important to our family dynamic. Nothing way better has came along. The job is good to me, I've seen no reason to leave. I tried to leave my company 10 years ago. They gave me a big salary increase and fixed my issues with work-life balance. Other jobs I could get pay less or would require me to go back to 40 travel. Anytime I start looking at jobs, a bunch of my former coworkers come back, which means it may not be any better out there. I like my boss I've had for the past 5 years, and he shields my team from a lot of the bullshit that I experienced on previous teams. If he leaves, I think most of my team will too. So now I'm at almost 20 years with the same company. I'm working on additional degrees just in case I do ever decide to leave, but for the time being I'm enjoying being super efficient at my job.